staged it! You staged it! Staged it! You staged it! Please don't be child abuser! Where's Jimmy Savile? Where's Jimmy Savile? You staged this! You child abuser! You child abuser! Get back!
Minister of the United Kingdom, Keir Starmer, has been arrested, not in his office, not at his residence, but inside a courtroom, and in full view of the press. This is the story dominating headlines across the globe tonight, and it's one that will reshape the landscape of British politics for years to come. I'm reporting for Newsor UK, and what unfolded just an hour ago marks one of the most dramatic moments in modern British political history. Here's what we know so far. The sitting Prime Minister and Labour leader, Sir Keir Starmer, was taken into custody directly from court during ongoing proceedings. The arrest happened swiftly and with precision. One moment he was standing before the judge. The next, officers moved in, surrounded him, and placed him in handcuffs. Security quickly cleared the area as stunned reporters and legal staff looked on. Within minutes, footage of the arrest flooded the airwaves. Starmer was escorted through a side exit, cameras capturing every second of the moment the nation's leader was led away. Outside, chaos erupted. Reporters scrambled to go live. Crowds gathered behind police barriers, some cheering, others visibly shaken. The footage hit every major network almost instantly. BBC, Sky News, CNN International, all carried it live. On social media, the reaction was explosive. Within 10 minutes, the arrest was the #1 trending topic worldwide. Twitter briefly crashed from traffic spikes. TikTok and Instagram lit up with clips and commentary. This wasn't just news, it was a political earthquake. But the central question remains, why? Authorities have released almost no details. A brief official statement confirmed that the arrest was lawful and that further information would follow, but no charges have been announced. No timeline has been given. Just a prime minister in custody and a nation demanding answers. That vacuum of information has only intensified the crisis. Within minutes, speculation spread like wildfire. Was this about corruption? A legal cover-up? Political retaliation? Nobody could say for certain. And in that void, theories multiplied faster than verified facts. To understand how we got here, we need to step back. This moment didn't emerge from nowhere. For weeks, reports have suggested that Starmer was under mounting legal scrutiny. The details were tightly controlled, but credible leaks hinted at investigations taking place behind closed doors, allegations of procedural violations, possible abuse of power, and questions about his conduct in office. Unnamed sources inside Westminster spoke of sealed court documents, confidential filings, and evidence being quietly reviewed by prosecutors. The secrecy surrounding these developments only deepened public suspicion. And that's part of what makes today's events so extraordinary. Keir Starmer built his reputation on the law. Before entering politics, he was one of Britain's most respected legal minds, serving as Director of Public Prosecutions from 2008 to 2013. He was the man who pursued justice, who demanded accountability, who once said that no one is above the law. Tonight, that very principle has come full circle. The man who enforced the law now finds himself subject to it. The symbolism is undeniable. To his supporters, it's a shocking and tragic reversal. A man of integrity brought low by a system he once served. To his critics, it's poetic justice. Evidence, they argue, that even those at the highest levels of power are not untouchable. Only months ago, Starmer's political trajectory seemed unstoppable. From celebrated barrister to Labour leader to Prime Minister, his rise was a testament to discipline and image building. He campaigned on ethics, transparency, and the promise to restore trust in government after years of scandal. But that image of the reformer, the cleaner of politics, has now been shattered. Even before today, Starmer's government was under pressure. The economy was faltering. Inflation remained stubbornly high. Millions of Britons were struggling with food and energy costs. His approval ratings had been slipping for months, and frustration was rising within his own party. Opposition leaders had sensed vulnerability, and attacks in Parliament had grown increasingly fierce. Questions about competence, leadership, and delivery had begun to dominate the narrative. So when Starmer entered that courtroom today, the stakes could not have been higher. His political allies were uneasy, his opponents were circling, and the public, weary and divided, was watching closely. Then, the unthinkable happened. The arrest of a sitting British Prime Minister, captured live on camera. Within minutes, it wasn't just a courtroom story, it became a national crisis. Inside Parliament, the reaction was immediate and chaotic. The moment news of the Prime Minister's arrest broke, Westminster was thrown into turmoil. Labour MPs scrambled for information. Some called it a blatant political attack, a targeted strike against their leader. Others remained silent, weighing their options carefully, uncertain whether to defend him or distance themselves before the fallout spread. Across the aisle, the opposition wasted no time. Conservative MPs seized the moment, demanding Starmer's immediate resignation. Calls for emergency debates, and even a vote of no confidence echoed through the chamber. The Speaker struggled to restore order as Parliament descended into shouting and confusion. Outside Westminster, the media went into overdrive. Every major network cut to live coverage. Regular programming was abandoned as political analysts and commentators filled studios across the country. The questions came thick and fast. Was this the end of Starmer's career? Could Labour survive? Who might replace him? Would this trigger a general election? And what would the fallout mean for Britain's already fragile economy and international standing? No one had definitive answers, but speculation spread faster than facts. Beyond Parliament, tensions were just as high. Outside the courthouse, hundreds gathered within an hour of the arrest. Protesters from both sides clashed in a tense and deeply divided scene. Some waved banners reading "Political Persecution, Defend Democracy," demanding Starmer's release and accusing the judiciary of being weaponized against an elected leader. Others held signs declaring, "No one above the law, justice at last," cheering as footage of the arrest replayed on nearby screens. Police quickly formed barriers to separate the two factions. Riot officers stood by as the standoff grew increasingly volatile, the atmosphere electric, unpredictable, and on the verge of turning violent. Online, the reaction was no less explosive. Within the first hour, social media platforms were flooded with millions of posts. Over 5 million tweets appeared under hashtags related to the arrest. Facebook groups dedicated to UK politics crashed from sheer traffic. Across platforms, facts, rumors, and conspiracy theories collided, making it nearly impossible for ordinary viewers to separate truth from misinformation. Comment sections turned into digital battlegrounds. The country's political divisions, already deep, split even further. Internationally, the story landed with seismic force. In the United States, major broadcasters led their bulletins with the news from London. Across Europe, regular programming was interrupted for rolling coverage. Even networks in Asia carried the story prominently. Foreign governments issued carefully worded statements. The White House said it was monitoring developments closely, but declined to elaborate. The European Union reaffirmed its commitment to the rule of law. France and Germany expressed concern about the UK's political stability. Behind closed doors, Britain's allies questioned whether they could rely on a government now engulfed in crisis. Within NATO, contingency discussions quietly began, scenarios no one had imagined needing to plan for. Meanwhile, Britain's rivals saw opportunity. Russian state media framed the event as proof of Western hypocrisy. Chinese outlets portrayed it as evidence of democratic fragility. The propaganda practically wrote itself. Political analysts worldwide were quick to weigh in. If Starmer could not continue as Prime Minister, they warned, Britain faced a full-blown constitutional crisis. Labour had no clear successor ready to take command. Some experts predicted the government could fall within weeks. Others cautioned that a snap election might become unavoidable, plunging the country into months of uncertainty. Financial markets reflected that unease. The pound slipped slightly against the dollar, a subtle but telling sign of investor concern. And yet the most troubling element in all this remains the one thing we still don't know: the reason. As of this hour, no formal charges have been made public. Legal experts say that's highly unusual for an arrest of such magnitude. Typically, charges are announced immediately to prevent speculation. The silence from law enforcement suggests a case both complex and sensitive, with significant implications still under review. Some legal analysts believe the arrest may be linked to decisions made during Starmer's premiership. Others point to his earlier career, his time as Director of Public Prosecutions, suggesting unresolved matters from that period could now be resurfacing. What's clear is that sealed court documents exist, multiple filings, reportedly restricted for legal reasons. Sources close to the investigation confirm that intense late-night meetings took place in the 3 days leading up to the arrest. Starmer's legal team had been working around the clock. Even his closest advisors were blindsided by how rapidly events unfolded. They anticipated legal challenges, perhaps even a court appearance, but not an arrest, not handcuffs. This wasn't a slow-moving political scandal that built over weeks. This was a sudden, explosive moment, a spark that ignited a national firestorm in less than an hour. For ordinary Britons watching this unfold from their homes, the emotions are sharply divided. Some see this as long overdue accountability, a powerful leader finally facing the same consequences as anyone else. For them, this feels like justice catching up with privilege. But others feel something very different, a deep sense of betrayal. They believe the system is being manipulated, that Starmer's arrest isn't justice, but politics weaponized. To them, this looks like an attempt to tear down an elected government by those who never accepted his leadership in the first place. Across the country, in pubs, offices, and family living rooms, people are asking the same questions. What happens now? Can Starmer continue to govern from custody? Will he be forced to resign? Or will he fight the charges while still leading the country? Right now, there are no clear answers, and that uncertainty is what makes this moment so dangerous for British democracy. When facts are scarce, speculation fills the void, fear takes root, trust in institutions erodes even further, divisions widen, and the longer clarity is delayed, the more serious the damage becomes. This is not just a political crisis. It is a defining moment for Britain itself. The arrest of a sitting prime minister is almost unheard of in modern democratic history. Here in the United Kingdom, it's without precedent in living memory. Historians will study this moment for generations. It will shape political careers, rewrite campaign strategies, and redefine public trust in government for years to come. Right now, the entire world is watching Britain struggle to make sense of something that seemed unthinkable only hours ago. So, as this story continues to evolve, stay informed. We'll be tracking every development, every statement, every consequence, as it happens. And we want to hear from you. Do you believe this arrest represents justice served, or a dangerous turn where politics becomes the weapon? Because one thing is absolutely certain, whatever happens next, Britain will not be the same again.